Sometimes the people society overlooks carry the deepest connections to our souls. Watch till the end of this story, because one young waitress's act of kindness will leave you rethinking everything you know about compassion. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that touch the heart. The soft hum of jazz filled the elegant dining hall of Rutherford's, one of the most prestigious restaurants in Boston. Waiters moved like clockwork, polished, rehearsed, and emotionless. Except for Aisha, a young black waitress whose warmth shone through every smile, even when life behind that smile wasn't easy. She'd been working double shifts, saving for her little brother's surgery back home in Georgia. Every dollar mattered. Every customer counted. That evening, a hush swept through the restaurant as the maitre d' straightened his tie and whispered to the staff, "Everyone, be on your best behavior. The Rutherford family is here tonight." The name alone sent ripples across the floor. The Rutherfords owned half of Boston, real estate, hotels, and a tech empire. And at the head of that family sat William Rutherford III, a billionaire whose name appeared in magazines more often than most people's birthdays. But when the family entered, it wasn't the billionaire who caught Aisha's eye. It was the elderly woman beside him, his grandmother, Eleanor Rutherford. Eleanor was fragile, her silver hair wrapped in a bun, her eyes distant yet alert. Aisha noticed the subtle gestures between her and her grandson. The taps on the hand, the brief nods, the way William's wife leaned in to interpret. Aisha quickly realized Eleanor was deaf. As she approached their table, she kept her usual warm smile. "Good evening. My name's Aisha, and I'll be taking care of you tonight." William nodded politely. "Thank you. My grandmother can read lips, but she doesn't like to be fussed over. Just treat her like everyone else." Aisha smiled again. That kind of instruction never sat right with her. "Of course," she said softly. Throughout dinner, Aisha noticed Eleanor's quiet frustration. The family spoke over her, conversations buzzing too fast for her to follow. She tried to join in, signing something gently, but no one responded. William was too busy on his phone, and his wife was laughing with a friend at another table. When Aisha returned with their wine, she paused. Then, slowly, delicately, she began signing. "Are you okay, ma'am?" Eleanor froze. Her cloudy eyes widened. Then, smiling for the first time that night, she signed back. "You know sign language?" Aisha nodded, her face lighting up. "My brother was born deaf. I learned so I could talk with him." For the rest of the evening, Eleanor and Aisha conversed in graceful silence, hands flowing like poetry. Eleanor asked about her life, her family, and why she worked such long hours. Aisha shared her story, the struggle to afford her brother's treatment, her dreams of becoming a teacher for deaf children. When Eleanor's meal arrived, she gently touched Aisha's hand and signed, "You're a good soul. Don't lose that." But not everyone at the table was pleased. William's wife, Clarissa, leaned toward her husband and whispered sharply, "Why is our waitress chatting with your grandmother? It's unprofessional." William frowned slightly, but said nothing. Still, he began watching closely. By dessert, Eleanor insisted on speaking to the manager. The entire staff froze, fearing trouble. The manager rushed over, nervous. Eleanor pointed to Aisha and, with trembling fingers, signed something. The manager looked confused, turning helplessly to William. "What is she saying?" William sighed. "I'll interpret." He leaned toward his grandmother. "What is it, Grandma?" Eleanor signed again, firm and deliberate. William's face turned pale. She said, he translated slowly, that Aisha deserves a raise and that this restaurant could use more people like her. The dining hall chuckled politely, but behind the laughter, Clarissa rolled her eyes. When the night ended, Aisha returned the bill folder to the table. William placed his card inside without looking up. But when she opened it back at the register, her hands trembled. $1 tip. Her lips parted in disbelief. It wasn't just the money, it was the handwritten note beside it. "From Grandma Eleanor and me. Thank you for reminding us how to listen, even without words." Aisha fought back tears. She didn't know that moment would change everything. Because 2 days later, her phone rang. The number was private. "Miss Aisha Collins?" a formal voice asked. "This is Harper and Rutherford Foundation. Mr. Rutherford would like to see you. In person." The morning Aisha was summoned to the Rutherford estate, she woke before sunrise. Her nerves hummed like power lines. She'd ironed her best blouse 3 times and still found a wrinkle. She had no idea why a billionaire's family wanted to see her, but something in her gut told her this wasn't about a job. It was about Eleanor. As her cab turned through the towering gates of the Rutherford mansion, Aisha gazed up at the sprawling white estate. Every window glistened in the November sun, every hedge cut with mathematical precision. It was a different world, one where silence wasn't empty, it was powerful. The butler, an older man named Davis, led her through marble corridors until they reached the garden. There, in a soft shawl and oversized sunglasses, sat Eleanor Rutherford. "Miss Collins," Davis said kindly, "Mrs. Rutherford has been expecting you." Eleanor turned at the sound of her name. When she saw Aisha, her wrinkled face broke into a smile. Her hands lifted eagerly, signing, "You came." Aisha returned the sign with a grin. "Of course. I wasn't sure why, but I had to. Elena gjestet for her to seat." Then, to Aisha's surprise, she reached into a small wooden box beside her and pulled out an old photograph. Black and white, slightly torn. She handed it over carefully. The photo showed a young black woman in a maid's uniform, standing beside a little girl with curls and a ribbon in her hair. The maid's eyes were warm, her hand resting gently on the child's shoulder. Aisha looked up, confused. Eleanor signed. "That woman was my nurse, Clara. She raised me when my parents traveled for business. She was deaf. My parents never learned her language, but I did." Aisha blinked, astonished. Eleanor continued. "She was like a mother to me. But when I grew older, she was dismissed. No explanation. I searched for her for years. She vanished." Tears welled in Aisha's eyes as she whispered, "That's heartbreaking." Eleanor nodded slowly, her hands trembling. "When you signed to me at the restaurant, your gestures, your expressions, they reminded me of her. You signed like she did." Aisha's throat tightened. "My grandmother taught me sign language before she passed. Her name was Clara." Eleanor froze. For a moment, neither of them breathed. The wind rustled through the oak trees like whispered memory. "Clara Collins?" Eleanor signed urgently. Aisha nodded. "Yes." Eleanor gasped, her eyes filling with tears. She reached forward, taking Aisha's hands in hers. "You're a granddaughter?" Aisha nodded again, and Eleanor broke down, sobbing without sound. Her shoulders trembled as she pressed her forehead to Aisha's hands, clutching them tightly. Aisha wept too. 2 generations connected by love, silence, and fate. When William entered the garden minutes later, he stopped in shock. His grandmother hadn't cried in years. "Grandma, what's happening?" Eleanor signed furiously, her hands moving fast. William, though not fluent, caught pieces of it. He turned to Aisha, bewildered. "You're related to Clara?" "Yes," Aisha said softly. "She was my grandmother." William's face changed. First disbelief, then something close to awe. "My grandmother talked about her all the time growing up. She said Clara saved her life once during a fire when she was 5. We didn't even know what happened to her afterward." Eleanor signed something again, more slowly now. William's eyes widened as he translated. She said, "She feels like God sent you to finish what Clara started, to bridge silence and love again." The moment was electric. Aisha had never felt so seen, so whole. A week later, a letter arrived at Aisha's apartment. Inside was an embossed envelope bearing the Rutherford crest. It was a scholarship offer from the Rutherford Foundation for Deaf Education. The note inside read, "Clara Collins gave me the gift of language. You've given me the gift of remembrance. Please accept this scholarship to finish your education and a position as program director at our new Center for Deaf Children, named in your grandmother's honor, the Clara Collins Learning Center. With love, Eleanor Rutherford and family." Aisha pressed the letter to her heart. Her tears fell not from sadness, but from gratitude, a quiet miracle born out of kindness empathy, and a forgotten language of love. 6 months later, the ribbon-cutting ceremony was small but beautiful. Children laughed as they signed the alphabet to one another. Parents wiped tears as Aisha stood beside Eleanor, both of them radiant. Reporters surrounded them, eager to capture the moment. One asked, "Miss Collins, what does this center mean to you?" Aisha looked at Eleanor, then turned to the crowd. Her voice trembled. "It means no one is invisible. It means love doesn't always speak, it listens. My grandmother believes silence can be sacred when it's filled with understanding. And today, we prove her right." The crowd erupted into applause. Eleanor smiled proudly, signing to Aisha. Clara would be proud. Aisha signed back. "So am I." Clapperboard resolution and moral lesson. This story isn't just about a waitress or a billionaire's grandmother. It's about the power of compassion that transcends sound, race, and status. It's about remembering that sometimes the quietest voices echo the loudest truths. Aisha's kindness didn't just change one woman's dinner. It healed a family, honored a legacy, and gave hundreds of children a chance to be heard in their own way. When you choose empathy, you speak the one language every heart understands. Headphone outro, call to reflection. Would you have taken the time to talk to Eleanor if you were Aisha that night? Tell us in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true stories that restore faith in humanity.